Saga. 68 languages. Sagas and Viking Saga redirect here. For other uses, see Saga, disambiguation, sagas. Disambiguation, and Viking Saga, disambiguation. Sagas are prose stories and histories, composed in Iceland and to a lesser extent elsewhere in Scandinavia. The most famous saga genre is the Islandingasaga, sagas concerning Icelanders, which feature Viking voyages, migration to Iceland, and feuds between Icelandic families. However, sagas' subject matter is diverse, including pre-Christian Scandinavian legends, saints and bishops both from Scandinavia and elsewhere, Scandinavian kings and contemporary Icelandic politics, and chivalric romances either translated from continental European languages or composed locally. Sagas originated in the Middle Ages, but continued to be composed in the ensuing centuries. Whereas the dominant language of history writing in medieval Europe was Latin, sagas were composed in the vernacular, Old Norse and its later descendants, primarily Icelandic. While sagas are written in prose, they share some similarities with epic poetry, and often include stanzas or whole poems in alliterative verse embedded in the text. Etymology and meaning of saga, edit. The main meanings of the Old Norse word saga, plural eska, are what is said, utterance, oral account, notification, and the sense used in this article, structured, narrative, story, about somebody. 1. It is cognate with the English words say and saw, in the sense a saying, as in old saw, and the German sage, but the modern English term saga was borrowed directly into English from Old Norse by scholars in the 18th century to refer to Old Norse prose narratives. 2. 3. The word continues to be used in this sense in the modern Scandinavian languages, Icelandic saga, plural soga, Faroese, plural ska, Norwegian sog, plural soja, Danish saga, plural saga, and Swedish saga, plural saga. It usually also has wider meanings such as history, tale, and story. It can also be used of a genre of novels telling stories spanning multiple generations, or to refer to saga-inspired fantasy fiction. 4. Swedish folk saga means folk tale or fairy tale, while konstsaga is the Swedish term for a fairy tale by a known author, such as Hans Christian Andersen. In Swedish historiography, the term sagokung, saga king, is intended to be ambiguous, as it describes the semi-legendary kings of Sweden, who are known only from unreliable sources. 5. Genres, edit. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Snorri Sturluson, portrait by Christian Krogh, illustration for Heimskringla 1899 edition. Norse sagas are generally classified as follows. King's sagas, edit. King's sagas, Konungasaga, are of the lives of Scandinavian kings. They were composed in the 12th to 14th centuries. A preeminent example is Heimskringla, probably compiled and composed by Snorri Sturluson. These sagas frequently quote verse, invariably occasional and praise poetry, in the form of skaldic verse, sagas of Icelanders and short tales of Icelanders, edit. The Icelanders sagas, Islandingasaga, sometimes also called family sagas in English, are purportedly, and sometimes actually, stories of real events, which usually take place from around the settlement of Iceland in the 870s to the generation or two following the conversion of Iceland to Christianity in 1000. They are noted for frequently exhibiting a realistic style. 6. 101. 1057. It seems that stories from these times were passed on in oral form until they eventually were recorded in writing as Islandinga Saga, whose form was influenced both by these oral stories and by literary models in both Old Norse and other languages. 6. 11214. The majority, perhaps 2/3 of the medieval corpus, seem to have been composed in the 13th century, with the remainder in the 14th and 15th centuries. 6. 102. These sagas usually span multiple generations and often feature everyday people, for example Bundamana Saga, and larger-than-life characters, for example Egil's Saga. 6. 107. 12 key works of this genre have been viewed in modern scholarship as the highest quality saga writing. While primarily set in Iceland, the sagas follow their characters' adventures abroad, for example in other Nordic countries, the British Isles, northern France and North America. 7. 6. 101. Some well-known examples include Egil's Saga, Laxdæla Saga and Grettis Saga. The material of the short tales of Icelanders, Tur or Slendingar, is similar to Islandinga Saga, in shorter form, often preserved as episodes about Icelanders in the King's Sagas. Like King's Sagas, when sagas of Icelanders quote verse, as they often do, it is almost invariably skaldic verse. Contemporary Sagas, edit. Main article, Contemporary Sagas. Contemporary sagas, Samtisaga or Samtimasaga, are set in 12th and 13th century Iceland, and were written soon after the events they describe. Most are preserved in the Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Compilation Sturlunga Saga, from around 1270–80, though some, such as Aron's Saga, Jólafsna, are preserved separately. 8. The verse quoted in contemporary sagas is skaldic verse. According to historian John Vire Sigurðsson, scholars generally agree that the contemporary sagas are rather reliable sources, based on the short time between the events and the recording of the sagas, normally 20 to 70 years. The main argument for this view on the reliability of these sources is that the audience would have noticed if the saga authors were slandering and not faithfully portraying the past. 9. Legendary Sagas, edit. Main article, Legendary Saga. Legendary sagas, Fornaldar Saga, blend remote history, set on the continent before the settlement of Iceland, with myth or legend. Their aim is usually to offer a lively narrative and entertainment. They often portray Scandinavia's pagan past as a proud and heroic history. Some legendary sagas quote verse, particularly Völsunga Saga and Eyjax Saga, and when they do it is invariably Eddaic verse. Some legendary sagas overlap generically with the next category, chivalric sagas. 10. 191. Chivalric sagas, edit. Main article, Chivalric sagas. Chivalric sagas, Ridera Saga, are translations of Latin pseudo-historical works and French chanson de geste as well as Icelandic compositions in the same style. Norse translations of continental romances seem to have begun in the first half of the 13th century, 375 Icelandic writers seem to have begun producing their own romances in the late 13th century, with production peaking in the 14th century and continuing into the 19th. 10. While often translated from verse, sagas in this genre almost never quote verse, and when they do, it is often unusual in form. For example, Gyllen's Saga OK Hermans contains the first recorded quotation of a refrain from an Icelandic dance song, 12, and a metrically irregular riddle in Gjalla. John's Saga. 13. Saints and Bishops Sagas, edit. Saints Sagas, Heilagra Saga, and Bishops Sagas, Biskupar Saga, are vernacular Icelandic translations and compositions, to a greater or lesser extent influenced by saga style, in the widespread genres of hagiography and episcopal biographies. The genre seems to have begun in the mid-12th century. 14. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Excerpt from Njál's Saga in the manuscript Mruvalabk, 132 folio 13R, c. 1350. History, edit. Icelandic sagas are based on oral traditions, and much research has focused on what is real and what is fiction within each tale. The accuracy of the sagas is often hotly disputed. Most of the medieval manuscripts, which are the earliest surviving witnesses to the sagas, were taken to Denmark and Sweden in the 17th century, but later returned to Iceland. Classical sagas were composed in the 13th century. Scholars once believed that these sagas were transmitted orally from generation to generation until scribes wrote them down in the 13th century. However, most scholars now believe the sagas were conscious artistic creations, based on both oral and written tradition. A study focusing on the description of the items of clothing mentioned in the sagas concludes that the authors attempted to create a historic feel to the story, by dressing the characters in what was at the time thought to be old-fashioned clothing. However, this clothing is not contemporary with the events of the saga, as it is a closer match to the clothing worn in the 12th century. 15. It was only recently, start of 20th century, that the tales of the voyages to North America, modern-day Canada, were authenticated. 16. Most sagas of Icelanders take place in the period 930–1030, which is called Söguöld, Age of the Sagas, in Icelandic history. The sagas of kings, bishops, contemporary sagas have their own time frame. Most were written down between 1190 and 1320, sometimes existing as oral traditions long before. Others are pure fiction, and for some we do know the sources. The author of King Sverre's Saga had met the king and used him as a source. 17. While sagas are generally anonymous, a distinctive literary movement in the 14th century involves sagas, mostly on religious topics, with identifiable authors and a distinctive Latinate style. Associated with Iceland's northern diocese of Hólar, this movement is known as the North Icelandic Benedictine School, Norlinski Benedictskólinn. 18. The vast majority of texts referred to today as sagas were composed in Iceland. One exception is Eiríks Saga, translated / composed in Norway. Another is Hjalmar's Arkrama's Saga, a post-medieval forgery composed in Sweden. While the term saga is usually associated with medieval texts, sagas, particularly in the legendary and chivalric saga genres, continued to be composed in Iceland on the pattern of medieval texts into the 19th century. 1910, 19394. Explanations for saga writing, edit. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Icelanders produced a high volume of literature relative to the size of the population. Historians have proposed various theories for the high volume of saga writing. Early, nationalist historians argued that the ethnic characteristics of the Icelanders were conducive to a literary culture, but these types of explanations have fallen out of favor with academics in modern times. 20. It has also been proposed that the Icelandic settlers were so prolific at writing in order to capture their settler history. Historian Gunnar Karlsson does not find that explanation reasonable, though, given that other settler communities have not been as prolific as the early Icelanders were. 20. Pragmatic explanations were once also favored. It has been argued that a combination of readily available parchment, due to extensive cattle farming and the necessity of culling before winter, and long winters encouraged Icelanders to take up writing. 20. More recently, Icelandic saga production has been seen as motivated more by social and political factors. The unique nature of the political system of the Icelandic Commonwealth created incentives for aristocrats to produce literature. 21, 22, offering a way for chieftains to create and maintain social differentiation between them and the rest of the population. 22, 23, Gunnar Karlsson and Jesse Björk argued that the Icelanders wrote the sagas as a way to establish commonly agreed norms and rules in the decentralized Icelandic Commonwealth by documenting past feuds, while Iceland's peripheral location put it out of reach of the continental kings of Europe, and that those kings could therefore not ban subversive forms of literature. 20. Because new principalities lacked internal cohesion, a leader typically produced sagas to create or enhance amongst his subjects or followers a feeling of solidarity and common identity by emphasizing their common history and legends. 21. Leaders from old and established principalities did not produce any sagas, as they were already cohesive political units. 21. Later, late 13th and 14th century, saga writing was motivated by the desire of the Icelandic aristocracy to maintain or reconnect links with the Nordic countries by tracing the ancestry of Icelandic aristocrats to well-known kings and heroes to which the contemporary Nordic kings could also trace their origins. 22, 23. Editions and translations, edit. The corpus of Old Norse sagas is gradually being edited in the Íslensk series, which covers all the Íslendingasaga and a growing range of other ones. Where available, the Íslensk edition is usually the standard 1. 6, 117, the standard edition of most of the chivalric sagas composed in Iceland is by Agnit Lote. 24, 10, 192. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. A list, intended to be comprehensive, of translations of Icelandic sagas is provided by the National Library of Iceland's Bibliography of Saga Translations. Popular culture, edit. Many modern artists working in different creative fields have drawn inspiration from the sagas. Among some well-known writers, for example, who adapted saga narratives in their works are Paul Anderson, Lauren Bynett, Margaret Elphinstone, Friedrich de la Motte Falk, Gunnar Gunnarsson, Henrik Ibsen, Halldor Laxness, Ottilie Liljekrantz, Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, George Mackay Brown, William Morris, Adam Linskliger, Robert Louis Stevenson, August Strindberg, Rosemary Sutcliffe, Isis Tegner, J.R.R. Tolkien, and William T. Vollmann. 25. See also, edit. Prose Edda. Beowulf. References and notes, edit. 1 Dictionary of Old Norse Prose / Ordbog over Detnen Prosaspråk, Copenhagen, Arne Magnaean. Commission / Arne Magnaeansk Commission, 1983, SV. 1 Saga SB. F archived 18 December 2019 at the Wayback Machine. 2 Saw, N.2. Archived 2 May 2023 at the Wayback Machine, OED Online, 1st ed., Oxford, Oxford. University Press, December 2019. 3 Saga, N.1. Archived 2 May 2023 at the Wayback Machine, OED Online, 1st ed., Oxford, Oxford. University Press, December 2019. 4 J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings series was translated into Swedish by A. Goldmarks with the title Sagan om Ringen, The Saga of the Ring. The 2004 translation was titled Ringen as Her, a literal translation from the original. Icelandic journalist Orstein Thor Aronson, 1926–2006, translated the work as Ring Adrotin Saga, meaning Saga of the Lord of the Rings. 5 Untitled document. www.fotovikensmuseum.se. Archived from the original on 12 September 2022, retrieved 12 September 2022. 6 ABCDEF Vestin Olason, Family Sagas, in a Companion to Old Norse Icelandic Literature and Culture, ed. by Rory McChirk, Oxford, Blackwell, 2005, pp. 10118. 7 Himskringla.no. www.himskringla.no. Archived from the original on 2 May 2023. Retrieved 11 January 2015. 8 Sagas of Contemporary History, Blackwell Reference Online. Archived from the original on 22 December 2015. Retrieved 11 January 2015. 9 Sigurdsson, John Vidar, 2017. Viking Friendship, The Social Bond in Iceland and Norway, c. 900. 1300. Cornell University Press. p. 111. ISBN 978-1-5017-0848-0. Archived from the original on 2 May 2023. Retrieved 3 January 2022. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. 10 ABCD Matthew, Driscoll, Late Prose Fiction, Lige Saga, in a Companion to Old Norse Icelandic Literature and Culture, ed. by Rory McChirk, Oxford, Blackwell, 2005, pp. 19204. 11 Jörg Glauser, Romance, translated Riddarasögu, in a Companion to Old Norse Icelandic Literature and Culture, ed. by Rory McChirk, Oxford, Blackwell, 2005, pp. 19204. 12 Ahigumans How Icelandic Legends Reflect the Prohibition on Dancing, ARV, 61. 2006, 2552. 13 Jalajon's Saga, trans. By Philip Lavender, Leeds Studies in English, NS 46, 2015, 73113, p. 88n34. 14 Margaret Cormack, Christian Biography, in a Companion to Old Norse Icelandic Literature and Culture, ed. by Rory McChick, Oxford, Blackwell, 2005, pp. 2742. 15 Clothing in Norse Literature, historiskdragta.dk. Archived from the original on the 23rd of November. 2014, retrieved the 15th of November 2013. 16 Strange Footprints on the Land, author, Irwin, Constance, publisher, Harper and Row, 1980, ISBN 0-06. 022772-9. 17 Skaldic Poetry of the Scandinavian Middle Ages, The Skaldic Project. Archived from the original on the 8th of December 2014. Retrieved the 11th of January 2015. 18 657 AB4 to Handry.is. Handry.is. Archived from the original on the 12th of September 2022. Retrieved the 12th of September 2022. 19 Matthew James Driscoll, The Unwashed Children of Eve, The Production, Dissemination and Reception of Popular Literature in Post-Reformation Iceland, Enfield Lock, Heisalag Press, 1997. 20 ABCD Sagnfringaflag Islands Archive Lavap, Gunnar Carlson, Island Sem Jarsvi. Evropskram Meninga. Archived from the original on the 16th of March 2017. Retrieved the 15th of March 2017. 21 ABC Christensen, Axel, the 1st of June 2003. Lords and Literature, the Icelandic Sagas as Political and Social Instruments. Scandinavian Journal of History. 28, 1117. Do. 10.10008468750310001192. ISSN 0346-8755. S2 SID 1438904002. 22 ABC Eriksson, Anne, Sigurdsson, John Via, the 1st of January 2010. Negotiating Pasts in the Nordic Countries, Interdisciplinary Studies in History and Memory. Nordic Academic Press. ISBN 9789185509331. 23 AB Tulinius, Torfi, 2002. The Matter of the North. Odense University Press. Archived from the original on the 2nd of May 2023. Retrieved the 1st of January 2020. 24 Agnit Lote, ed., Late Medieval Icelandic Romances, Editions Arnamagaini, Series B, 2024, 5 vols, Copenhagen, Munksgaard, 1962-65. 25 Database of Medieval Icelandic Saga Literary Adaptations. Christopher W. E. Crocker. The 23rd of February 2019. Archived from the original on the 12th of November 2022. Retrieved the 17th of November 2022. Sources: edit. Primary The Skaldic Project, an international project to edit the corpus of medieval Norse Icelandic Skaldic poetry. Other. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF. Clover, Carol J. et al. Old Norse Icelandic Literature, A Critical Guide, University of Toronto. Press, 2005, ISBN 978-0802038234. Gade, Kari Ellen, ed. Poetry from the King's Sagas 2 from c. 1035 to c. 1300, Brupols. Publishers. 2009, ISBN 978-2-503-51897-8. Gordon, E.V. ed. An Introduction to Old Norse, Oxford University Press, 2nd ed. 1981. ISBN 978-0-19-811184-9. Jacobsen, Arman, Fredrik Heinemann, trans. A Sense of Belonging, Morkinskinna and Icelandic Identity, c. 1220, Sydnsk Universitetsforlag 2014, ISBN 978-87767484556. Jacobsen, Arman Icelandic Sagas, The Oxford Dictionary of the Middle Ages 2nd ed. Robert E. Jork. 2010, ISBN 9780199574834. McTurk, Rory, ed. A Companion to Old Norse Icelandic Literature and Culture, Hwyla Blackwell. 2005, ISBN 978-0631235026. Ross, Margaret Clunies, The Cambridge Introduction to the Old Norse Icelandic Saga. Cambridge University Press, 2010, ISBN 978-0-521-73520-9. Thorson, Ornol Further Sagas of Icelanders, Penguin 2001, ISBN 978-0141000039. Whaley, Diana, ed. Poetry from the King's Sagas 1 from Mythical Times to c. 1035, Brupols. Publishers. 2012, ISBN 978-2-503-51896-1. Further reading, edit. In Norwegian. Hogen, Odd Einar Handbok einen Filologi, Bergen, Fagbok Forlage, 2004, ISBN 978-82-450. 0105-1. External links, edit. Goss, Edmund William, 1911. Saga. Encyclopaedia Britannica. Volume 23, 11th ed. pp. 1001. Icelandic Saga Database. The Icelandic sagas in the original Old Norse along with translations into many languages. Old Norse prose and poetry. The Icelandic sagas at Netutgafan. Categories: Medieval literature, sagas, Icelandic literature, North Germanic languages, Old Norse literature. Explore our developer-friendly HTML to PDF API printed using PDF Crowd HTML to PDF.